Hi, Patrick here. Have Cheetah Will View. So we are going to talk about a movie today that I've been looking forward to. I watched this last week, and I thought I share some thoughts with it today. And the movie that we're talking about is 1981's Clash of the Titans. Now I know many of you think that this is about Clash of the Titans is between Paladin the Cheetah versus the Foot, but before that happened, there was a Clash of the Titans movie. Clash of the Titans came out in 1981, and it has an all-star cast: Harry Hamlin, Sir Laurence Olivier, Judy Bowker, Dame Maggie Smith. Yes, that Maggie Smith. Yes, 81 years, and she was working in 1981. Yes, she looked quite pretty too. Burgess Meredith and Ursula Andress, who many might remember from the James Bond movie, Doctor No. Okay, so the story is this. So we see the movie open up, and we see King Arissus of Argos is condemning his daughter and her new child to death. His daughter has gotten pregnant by Zeus and has Zeus's child, had a son, and the king is being angry, and so he sacrifices her out of vengeance. And he hammers her into a box and sets her on the ocean. Zeus ain't too happy about that, so he does rescue his lover and her child, put them on an island while he in turns contacts Poseidon, the god Poseidon, the god of the water, and asks him to release the Kraken on Argos, and destroying it, including and killing everybody in it, including the king, which Poseidon does. Um, so Procerus decides he's not decides he does. He grows up. He grows up on an island called Seraphos, and he is enjoying his life as he knows it. Meanwhile, a gentleman named Calibus, who is the son of the goddess Thetis, wants to marry Princess Andromeda, the queen of Cassiopeia of Joppa, um, but unfortunately he has been rather a bad guy. So Zeus has decides to punish him by disfiguring him, and because some of the things that Calibus has done, including killing Zeus's flying horses, except for one. And so he in turn returns the favor by causing Calibus to be horribly disfigured and put in a swamp. But Calibus is a crafty fella, and he's one of those guys that, well, if I can't have him, nobody else can. And so he puts Andromeda underneath a curse, and that is for anyone who tries to win her heart, they must answer a riddle. If they're unable to answer a riddle, they die. They get burned at the stake. So, needless to say, Andromeda does not have too many suitors. Okay, uh, but what happens is that Thetis decides to uh, get her own revenge, and she moves Perseus from his home. She transferred him into Joppa. So basically, what she's trying to do, is to connect Perseus to Andromeda and have him killed, because no man can resist Andromeda's beauty, but no man can guess the riddle either. And so that's really what happens. He gets there. He meets a poet named Ammon, who's played by Burgess Meredith, and of course, sure enough, Perseus, he's in Joppa, and he sees Andromeda, and he falls in love with her, just about every other man does. And of course, now he hears about the curse. He sees the result of the curse, and so a friend he meets at the gate, a soldier who he befriends, tells Perseus about the curse. Well, what Calibus and Thetis doesn't know is that Zeus has given Perseus some gifts: a sword that can cut through anything, a mighty shield, and a helmet that renders invisibility. And so Perusis goes up to Andromeda's room underneath the helmet, and he sees her being taken every night through by Calibus through astrophysics through a astral body. He takes her spirit every night and kidnaps it, and makes her learn a new riddle for the next day. So Perusis follows. He follows, and he sees that, and but he sees what's happening, but he needs to get there. So he captures Pegasus, makes him his own, and follows Andromeda to the camp where she is being told, the riddle of the day. Perusus and Calibus fight, and during the fight, Perusus takes off Calibus's hand at the wrist, deforms him even further. He then goes back to Joppa. He rescues Andromeda because he knows the answer to the riddle. And in the joy of everything, unfortunately, Cassiopeia, she gets a little bit too full of what's going on, and she says that her daughter is even more beautiful than Thetis is, the goddess Thetis. And of course, that strikes Thetis extremely, makes her extremely angry. And she says that, and she puts a curse on the daughter, saying that in 30 days that they're going to be destroyed, um, uh, because of making fun of her and destroying her statue. And she's going to have Andromeda sacrificed to the Kraken in 30 days for her insult. So now Perusus needs to defeat the Kraken, but there's only one way to do it, and he needs to find he needs to bring the head of the Medusa, and stop the Kraken. And so that's what he does. He saddles up with a small group, including his soldier friend, and they go to find the Medusa and capture her head. Needless to say, everything works out really well, and that's what they do. He gets the Kraken head, and of course they feature the ferryman of the River Styx. Features not Serbius, which was a little surprising. They featured a twin-headed dog named Diaskylos, not Serbius. I was a little surprised at that, and to get the Medusa or the Gorgon, to capture her, to cut her head off. Um, what's really is really cool about this movie, there's a lot of things to talk about. First of all, one thing that really struck me about the movie itself was the last half hour. The last half hour basically featured very, very little dialogue. Very little dialogue. It's all action. That was a little different. I couldn't tell you why that was, but the last half hour, there's not much. Okay, so this movie is a lot of fun. Um, I mean, you're looking at it and you're looking at all the all the stop motion effects by Harryhausen. Ray Harryhausen was a master of this. So many great movies that he did feature stop motion. Um, to see this now in the early 80s, 81, it does, you look at it and you think, wow, gosh, after Star Wars and Superman and everything else that was going on, Raiders of the Lost Ark, special effects had just advanced light years from the 50s and 60s. So there'd be no place for stop motion animation in the modern movie making world. You couldn't have been more wrong because they looked absolutely great. Yes, did it look like the 60s? Yeah, I can't lie about that. But what it did was it really has the viewer vested in the story. It really does. It puts you in the story, the stop motion effects. You really are enchanted by it. It's not like now, if you ran this movie today and re-released it today, it would probably be ridiculed, because the younger generation doesn't understand. And part of it is because we don't see him a lot, of Ray Harryhausen's work. A lot of these movies that are made, Ray Harryhausen himself actually took a lot of his movies and colorized them and had them released on DVD himself, because a lot of the studios weren't doing that. They weren't investing the money to improve the movies that Ray Harryhausen worked on. Um, this is the last movie that Ray Harryhausen worked on, as far as stop motion animation. After this, after he tried to get a sequel made to this movie and was not successful, um, uh, he and his working partner, they retired. But he did create eight eight creatures for this film, and that is he created a vulture, a Pegasus, Calibus, who would absolutely look. Calibus looked on point. He could have easily fit into anything going today. His costume, his look, absolutely could fit today's world. It was probably the most impressive thing of the movie. Tell you the truth, Calibus was pretty amazing. There was a little nod to Star Wars in this movie, a little bit. Bubo, the horned owl, that was a little bit, sort of like an R2D2 type. Then we had the twin-headed dog, the Guardians of the Gorgon, Discylus. Then you had the Medusa. Then Scorpions. Scorpions look great. Scorpions look great. And then you had the Kraken. That's right. And the term "release the Kraken" originated from this film right here. It wasn't released. It wasn't the Pirates of the Caribbean. It was Clash of the Titans. The acting is earnest. Um, the acting on Earth with the mortals was much better than the gods. The gods, a lot of times they just stood around and Zeus would sit there and say, Lawrence of Olivier was just giving some really god awful dialogue. You can't blame Olivier for that. I mean, it wasn't really well written. Um, a lot of, there shall be no revenge, or I'm gonna, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. I mean, the goddesses did not, and the gods did not have much to do, and it really showed. It sort of reminded me of the opening scene of Superman, where the Council of Krypton were standing around, just talking. It had that sort of sense to it. Did not really add to the story too much. Um, otherwise that the movie is fine. I really, like I said, I really like the story. I like the story once they got to going for the quest. Trying to find the head of the Medusa. That was very exciting, actually. Um, and it shows, self-sacrifice. His friends, dying to help him. I thought that was really. I thought that was. I was waiting for Zeus at the end of the movie to bring them back. Like, okay, they were willing to give their lives back to them, but we're gonna give them back to you. But I think what's really cool in the story by Beverly Cross is that it hinted on the decline of the gods, which was the gods were only as powerful as the belief in them were, and it did convey that through the story. The gods were only strong as the belief. So if everybody believed in Zeus, Zeus was a true god. I know in the remake of Clash of the Titans, they emphasized that even more so in the sequel, that the power of the gods was only given by the people's beliefs. If they didn't believe, the gods got weaker. And I thought that was a really good twist to add to the Clash of the Titans. They weren't all powerful. They couldn't do everything. Like when Perseus lost his helmet and his shield. It's not like Zeus just snapped his finger and gave him back to him, because it took energy for Zeus to make them. So it was interesting that way. Really really good storytelling. Um, all right, so we liked Clash of the Titans, 1981. It was made between $9 and $15 million. It returned over 70. These are all out now. All the Ray Harryhausen movies. I do believe they're all out on DVD. This was put out by Warner Brothers. MGM released it first, and Warner Brothers has MGM's library, so you can get this on Blu-ray from Warner Brothers. I got an early. I got an early release right here. I got one of the early Warner Brothers DVD releases. So, but overall, yeah, I recommend this movie. I have fun with it. All right. Well, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, consider dropping us a subscription. Better yet, drop us a comment. Let us know what you thought about Clash of the Titans. I still think I have to find. I think I have the remake. I have to go double check, but I really like that one there, and highly recommend it. So drop a comment on. Let me know what you think of the review and Clash of the Titans, and we will be back with another review shortly. Thanks for watching. Peace.